I'm Ellis Martin. Join me now for a conversation with Christopher Anderson, President and CEO of XIM Mining Corp, trading as XIM on the TSX Venture Exchange, in the U.S. as XXMMF, and in Frankfurt as 1XMA. Today we're going to discuss the company's 100% interest in the Brett Gold Project, a potential multi-million-dollar ounce play in one of the largest gold-bearing epithermal systems in beautiful southern British Columbia. With similar geology to the Republic Gold District in Washington, this is an advanced system with multiple high-grade targets. Chris, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me, Ellis.
If you don't mind, give our listeners an overview of your company.
We own 3 assets in the southern British Columbia. They're all in the precious metal space. We own them all 100%. 2 of our assets have been optioned out to 2 other public companies, so we get some stock and cash payments on an annual basis on those projects, and we also have a right to earn back in on them. And then we have our main project, which is the Brett project, which is an epithermal project near Vernon, BC. It's had over 180 diamond drill holes drilled on it. It's had a bulk sample completed on it. It's got a 1,500-foot drift done in it. We've just recently opened up the portal and plan to go in there and do some underground drilling. We're chasing a parallel structure in there with the best hole that was drilled in there so far has been 4.3 ounces over 1.3 meters. So we own all the projects 100%. We got some money in the bank. There's another project we've been looking at for several years, and the opportunities come across our desk. So we've made some overtures to try and acquire that. That's called the Kenville project near Nelson. It's one of the first gold mines in southern BC, and it was staked and set up in 1888. They've done quite a bit of drilling in there after 2012. It's not in the 43-101 that's published on the property. It's a brand new vein system in there that looks quite interesting. I've gone up there at several meetings with the groups over the years and been in on surface and underground. It's all Crown grant. They own all the property. They got 3-phase power right in there with the transformers are in there. It's pretty advanced, ready for some advanced work. We just announced that recently as well. So that's kind of where we're sitting at the moment.
So I've taken a look at that Kenville project. It looks pretty impressive. Is there a mill in the area? I can't recall.
There's not a mill on the property, but there is mills in the area. There's a mill down in Greenwood. There's a mill at the Kinross facility across the border at Buckhorn. We would be interested to see if we could utilize the mill in Greenwood if that became possible. And then there's other mills in the area, obviously. Those are the 2 likeliest candidates.
So if and when you make this acquisition, you're not really too concerned about milling the gold. It's a likelihood. How advanced are the talks? I mean, we're talking about something that hasn't happened yet, but you must be very encouraged by what you've seen.
Yeah, I'm very encouraged on what I've seen on Kenville. I mean, I'm also very encouraged on what we see on Brett, but I think Kenville's much more advanced than the Brett at the moment. The project, like I mentioned earlier, had it on the radar for several years now. So it is an exciting opportunity to get a handle on if we can do that. So far, everybody seems to be cooperating in a favorable manner. The stars seem to be aligning. So I'm hoping that we can close a deal on it. But we didn't build the company on that. We built it on the Brett. So this is an extra bonus. And I'm looking forward to seeing if we can actually complete. And if we do, all the better. I think we'd really be adding some shareholder value for us.
Okay, so the Brett project right now will be an exploration and development project and would be potentially for quite some time. But if you acquire the Kenville project, that could eventually lead to production sooner than later. So is your company ready for that?
I think that we've been adding members to the team that have been working with us that have experience in that avenue. We've been working very closely with miners, run a lot of projects in southern BC. You know, if you go on our website, you'll see Al Beaton, Alex McPherson. One of the other gentlemen that we're excited about working with is Lloyd Penner, another gentleman that's been very familiar with the Kenville project and worked with Al Beaton, one of our other projects, which is called Treasure Mountain. They worked and did all the underground development there. We've got guys around us that have experience in underground mining, which is a kind of a rarity. We would like to say that we would be successful at that transformation, provided we get the opportunity to do so. We're certainly hoping that that opportunity becomes available to us.
And your market has actually performed well, hasn't it?
During the last few years, as you know, the retail market has gone sideways for the miners and gone into bitcoins and marijuana and so forth. So late October, early November, we started at the Munich show in Germany, and we started marketing in Europe. We're on a total of about 6 exchanges right now. We're listed on the OTCQX as well in the United States. So we've been doing most of our marketing over in Europe. They were a little more amenable to investing in resource stocks and gold stocks. When I was at the Munich show, I went to the San Francisco show first. You could bowl through the alleys. There was a few industry people there. As a matter of fact, I ran into you there. And then I went over to the Munich show, and it was a whole different scene. All the booths that were selling actual bars, gold and silver, were packed, and the crowds over there were very enthusiastic about the resource space. They didn't get into the marijuana or the Bitcoin space like they did over here in North America, so there was some room for retail investors to take a look at some of the mining stocks, and they still believe in the gold space. So we've been doing most of our efforts over there, and they seem to have panned out pretty well so far.
Well, clearly you're driving around southern BC right now, and the entire area has been very prolific. I mean, the province itself with the Golden Triangle further up north, and then southern BC. There's been projects going on for probably 150 years. I've been to Nelson, although it's been a very long time. Give us an overview of what that area is like for those in our audience that haven't been to that part of the world.
It's fantastic country. It was historically built on gold mining. It was the beginning of the gold market in British Columbia. It is a beautiful region. And the Kenville project is just situated perfect. I mean, for trucking out, we can go right out from the property, right over the mountain on the Solomon Highway down to any one of the mills, either the Greenwood Mill or to the Buckhorn Mill or wherever other mill we find. We got good access out of the site. It is a mining community, although it's got some other connotations that come with Nelson. But for the most part, our property, there's the Kenville there has had lots of community. The community's been heavily advised of what's going on there over the years, and for the most part been fairly supportive. Doesn't seem to be any issues that we've come across. All the stars seem to be aligning there. The Greenwood area as well is that we're working in is a phenomenal area. I mean, that whole camp down there is everything's completely staked. I mean, last year or beginning of this year, there's been a couple of holes put out on that gold drop property that were phenomenal. Mining World, I think, rated them the 7th best gold holes drilled in the world. We had 7.3 meters of over 4 ounces. Another interesting element down there in the Greenwood area is that we've been hitting some phenomenal grades in terrellium. So we've gotten over 800 grams terrellium over 7 meters as well. I mean, you can check the numbers on the news releases, but those are approximately. Terrellium, an interesting space. It's used in the new cadmium terrellium solar panels. At one point, the price of terrellium, which was triple as it was now, 2011, was $380 a pound. I think it was in 2011, somewhere in that neighborhood. The cadmium solar panel market is growing exponentially, and this is just a nice little bonus. We kind of fell into it with the drilling down there. But that Greenwood area is very well-known, prolific gold mining camp. And then out at our project out at Treasure Mountain, we're right adjacent to the Nicola mine that Al Beaton, who's on our advisory board, was the mine manager, and Lloyd Penner, who's intimately familiar with the Kenville, was working with Al, and they did all the underground development at Treasure since its inception. I've been in the area working there for probably 14 years, so we know it quite well. One of the things I like about southern BC is, we can drive to Tim Hortons and be out at the property. We've got access, power on all of these locations, and good infrastructure. At Treasure Mountain, we're 35 clicks away from Copper Mountain. See, we don't have to hire a helicopter. We're in Canada. I understand the mining rules here. We're familiar with all the inspectors. We're familiar with the legalities of working in Canada, so it makes it a little easier for us. Back in around 2014, I was personally out looking around Peru and Mexico, United States, and made a decision that, we should focus on high-grade assets in Canada and safe jurisdictions where we had a little bit of stability, and we could build some infrastructure based around synergies that we could create operating in a region. So that's what XIM's done. It's built kind of a joint venture model, you might say, where we've used our technical expertise and our long knowledge of southern British Columbia to assemble some pretty good key assets and to spin those assets out to option partners so they could help us advance those projects. And at the same time, stabilize Ximen. We've paid off all our bills, so we're like debt-free, and we own all our assets 100%, and then we can focus on our BRET, which is a very exciting project. It's one of the first times it's been owned 100% in a junior and coming into a good bull market here, and it's an excellent property for advancement, and now the Kenville has come up, so I think Ximen's got a lot of bright stars lining up in front for the future. I think the market is appreciating that effort that we've put in there now. We started marketing in November, and things seem to be going well so far.
Let's talk about the share structure. It looks inviting, actually.
We've got 32 million shares out. I think I'm probably still in the largest shareholder. I got about 4 million shares or so personally in my name. And then we've got close associates, friends, and family that own fairly large positions. So I think the stock is relatively well structured and well held. We've had a whole series of 18 cent, 25 cent, 30 cent, and 50 cent warrant money that's been coming in over the last quarter since January. And with the stock seemed to take that. We've ran up to 84 cents there, and we had a bunch of warrants come in, and we ran up north of 30 there, and we got hit with a bunch of 25 cent warrants, brought it back down. We seem to continue to climb back up. Now we're trading in the low 70s. We've hit 80 here last week, I think, a couple times. So it's seems to be marching forward. We just need a good gold bull market to come forward. We want to get back out in the field. As a matter of fact, I just came back from the field yesterday. So we're getting ready. We'd like to get ready and start getting drilling, and hopefully this year we could see drilling on all our projects and maybe get some work done on the Kenville. Should we get that all organized and have the opportunity to acquire that 100%? So it could be a very exciting year for us this year.
Chris, it's always a great pleasure to speak with you and see you whenever I do in the world. I think we saw each other recently in Toronto at PDAC. Thanks so much for joining me today in the program, and be safe out there on the road.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ellis, for your time and doing this interview. I appreciate it.
I've been speaking with Christopher Anderson, President and CEO of XIM Mining Corp, trading as XIM on the TSX Venture Exchange, in the U.S. as XXMMF, and in Frankfurt as 1XMA. Find more information on the company by going to xmenminingcorp.com. Xmen is spelled Ximen. The Ellis Martin Report is compensated for all company interviews. I'm Ellis Martin.